That's quite different, because sometimes we've had some other security experts come here to tell us, and we think that it's as easy as they make it look like intelligence gathering. Now you just told us that it's a difficult task.
It's a difficult task. Yes, no person will give you. It's not. There's no silver bullet about it containing this organization we're talking about.
But the people, that is the Nigerian public, now can actually be
with the
brought into all of
with
this.
the experience now we are getting away. If you go to the airport, there's unattended luggage. People move away. They call you the securities. In the past, who cares about that? So I think slowly but surely we are getting used to it, that we are in a threat environment that we cannot determine. So we have to be moving on, looking at things, developing strategies and how to contain these things.
Well, I'm a little bit concerned when we talk about crisis in other places. For instance, now when we talk about this insecurity issue, the talks of going to Somalia for training, and now Libya. Don't you think, now we have just one of Gaddafi's sons in one of the countries already, is there a fear of having some of these people coming into the country and also foment trouble when we talk about security situation we already have in our hands?
The fact is that, our security operatives, I think, are very aware. We have a problem with our borders, I understand, because of the porosity and the extent of the borders that we have. And also, if you look at border histories and border management, you will see that most cases, because of the origin of these borders, you still have people split over two sides of a particular country. So these people don't see themselves living in different countries. They cross the borders the way they like. And also, we've not been able to demarcate our borders in such a way that we can know and get triggers that will let us know that people are coming in. And also in a sub-region like ECOWAS, where we have the provision of the freedom of movement, people and goods coming into the country, it is not always possible for us to get this thing intact. We can have all the operatives there. The ease with which people will carry small arms and light weapons into this country is easy.
So should we be looking at, for instance, ECOWAS and even the AU? Because I remember setting up the AU, then OAU, all this talk about brotherhood and all of that. Is it causing some kind of problems for us now?
It certainly will, because, even without the threat to life and all that, you can also see that, where you have an organization like the West Economic Community of West Africa, and you have this provision of freedom of movement, protocol of movement of goods and people. It also affects economies of other countries, in the sense that they say that Nigeria is the only fertile soil in an oasis where you have abject poverty all around. So it drags people out from their country. So even if you want even development within the sub-region, it becomes difficult, because wherever you have the skills and wherever jobs are available, it attracts people. There's a pool that drags them to this country.
But the pool dragging them to the country notwithstanding, is there a need then for us to perhaps rethink our foreign policy, such that those who suggest maybe we should put our foot down a lot more? Because, if these guys are going for training in Somalia, Algeria, ordinarily, if we put our foot down, some suggest that won't even happen in the first place.
The fact is that, you also have the right, people also have the right to travel out of this country to wherever they want to go. Unless you want to carry out what I call ethnic profiling and trying to look at people from a particular place that they shouldn't go out. And that will be, against their fundamental rights as citizens of this country. What we have to do is to know what they are going there to do. To know it in such a way that they could even get information about them. If you bought a flight and you're going to the United States, your facts are already before them. They know exactly who you are, where you're going, what you're going to do, and all that. And even at arrival, if they believe that they're not sure of what you be, they could even turn you back from that place.
What kind of relationship do we have with some of these countries, for instance? Do we have a cordial one, such that we could call them up and then they give us information or give us a tip-off?
That is the problem with terrorism. You have a good relationship with a particular state, and in that state, there are terrorist organizations. Do you go and attack that state, a country that has cordial relationship with you?
Not necessarily, but what if you give them a tip-off, as in, listen, this is coming, guys.
If for them, these people have not done anything against their own security, and there are no grounds for them to be, to be accosted and all that, it becomes difficult for even you, the government, that is requiring that action to be taken.
Yeah, but we've seen some countries, because they say it's a global partnership, perhaps disregard certain rules and move into some countries and do what they have to do.
I'm surprised to hear that we should disregard rules.
No, I didn't say we should disregard rules. I'm saying we've seen countries who lay claim to the global partnership in the fight for terrorism do certain things, and you ask yourself, wait a minute, is this what the global partnership is about?
I agree with you. For instance, I think what I'll bring to focus in this discussion is that the Libyan crisis and other issues where, a foreign power or a foreign organization will intervene directly to make things the way they want to. We have to be careful as Africans. Gaddafi had ruled and he has stayed there for a very long time. But also the UN mandate that was given was about no-fly zones, and there will be no boots on the ground. And yet, what we've seen is more than no-fly zones. We've seen how his troops have been attacked. And then also, most of the African countries have said nothing about it.
But Nigeria supported them, saying that, well, we have to support them because 44 other countries have supported them. And so...
I'm not going to take, if Nigeria, but we must understand that, the AU constitution clearly states that any change of government by force of arms will not be accepted. That's why the AU constitution Act says. It is clearly stated there.
So what do you see here?
I'm not seeing anything.
No double standard?
The fact is that there could be triple standard and all that. The fact is that the AU, if you look at the AU Constitution, Article 4H, clearly states the right of the organizations, to intervene in crises like that of human abuse and all that. But these are just laudable things that we've set up in our programs. The organization is it's not as strong as it should be. So we were not able to carry out these things. That's why the problem for countries like South Africa, they are more sensitive to these things after being ruled by white minority for a very long time. So when there's a power projection from outside Africa, extra-African actors intervening in crisis in Africa, they are more concerned because they've felt it so for a very long time. We had our independence. We didn't have to fight for it that much.
So we have
coming back to Nigeria, and I was going to ask you, how easy is it to go from Nigeria into Somalia? That's one. It's a double-barreled question here. And then the issue of security or terrorism advisory system. Do we have it in this country?
I think they have special advisors of terrorism to the president.
But
they have that.
Do we have alerts that, like color code?
Yes, I think I think either if it has not been operational for some time, that's a different thing. The fact is that most countries do have. You have the eased way of alerting your citizen. Then you have the conscious awareness and threat system that you have about 5 or 4 stages that you can tell your country. Like in the United States after 9/11, you can see that the tempo was on the high.